Hey YouTube, this is Brandon at The Edge Pro, and we're going to talk about changing the drive lever on the KM5, which is also going to be the same for the KM10 as well as the KM Cordless. So let's head on over to the repair station and get to work. Alright, we're over at the repair desk and we're going to work on changing the drive lever for the Wahl KM5. This will also be the same for the KM10 as well as the KM Cordless. And so the first thing we need to do is we're going to have to take the housing apart. And that is held together by these 3 screws right here. We don't need to take out these hinge screws, just these 3 right here, and that'll take it out. Those are a Torx bit. A T10 is the size that we're going to be looking for, same as it is for these 2 screws up here for the hinge. So we're going to take those screws out. They're all 3 the same length, and those 3 actually do have slots in them as well. If you don't have a Torx screwdriver, you can use a slotted screwdriver. Unlike with the hinge screws don't have the slot to them, so it's not a bad idea to have a T10 bit screwdriver with you. The manufacturers are switching over to this screw more and more, so it's not a bad idea to go ahead and get it and add it to your tools for working on these. So we're going to go ahead and take those screws out, and then we'll get in there and see what we can do about replacing that drive lever. Alright, so we took our 3 screws out, and they're fairly long screws, all 3 the same length. And then we're ready to take this housing apart, and that will help us get into the drive. Once we take the housing apart, we can kind of see how the clipper works here. A cord goes in, hooks to the back of this circuit board. The circuit board is a contact, so the contacts here in the housing make connection and break connection across this circuit board to help us complete the circuit, giving power to the motor. And then that bearing right in here on top of the motor drives this wishbone shaped drive back and forth. And so to get this drive off, we can either try to lift it by hand. Sometimes it's a little bit sticky on there, and we'll have to use our slotted screwdriver. And so when we use this slotted screwdriver, again, we just slide it underneath here between this black lower housing, or black part of the housing here, and the white. And then usually it just slides up pretty easy. If you need to, give your screwdriver a little twist and it'll just lift right off. This drive should, when it's brand new, look like this, where this drive follows the trajectory, or it stays straight all the way through the tip of the drive. When they're starting to get worn out, it'll be straight all the way up till about here, and then it'll step in and go up. And that's just going to allow for extra play in the cutter. It's going to cause a lot of noise. It's going to cause more vibration. You're going to lose a lot of stroke in your blade, so your blades won't cut very well. They may start leaving lines. So all of those are symptoms that it's time to change this drive here. So we've got our new one right here. It's straight all the way through the tip like that. And so to put it back on, what we're going to do is just line up that center hole right there and then push down like that. I'll show you from the side angle here. Get on that center hole and then just push it down, and it'll fit nice and snug on this bearing right here. And then we'll be ready. We'll put our housing back on. The only thing to line up with the housing is just make sure that this hole lines up with that post. As long as you do that, everything else should fall into place, as long as we didn't mess with anything else in the clipper. There is things to watch out for. If we remove this circuit board, it has to fit on pegs, and there's certain clips in here that it needs to fit on. So as we move and mess with that, that's going to end up causing issues. We may crack the circuit board when we put the housing back on. So unless you have to, don't mess with that circuit board. Once we get the front lined up, the housing comes back on, makes a very clean line, and we can go ahead and put our 3 screws back in, and that was going to complete the drive lever replacement on the KM5, the KM10, as well as the KM cordless. If this video has been helpful for you, please hit the thumbs up button for us. Subscribe to our channel if you want to see more videos like this and get notifications when we put more out. And also, we'd love to hear your feedback in the comments section. If you have any questions, leave it down there. We'd love to answer them and be able to help you with your repairs.